everyone, welcome to Instagram Live with IndieSource. We are live during office hours and I am here with the CEO of IndieSource, Jesse Dombrowiak.
Hi everyone, welcome.
So today we are going to be talking a little bit about sustainable fabric and how it is ethically sourced. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit about that, and then obviously if you guys have questions, tune in, go ahead and ask your questions, whether they're how-tos or some entrepreneur questions, whatever it is that's on your brain.
Yeah, welcome everyone. At IndieSource, we're committed to helping others create successful fashion lines ethically and sustainably. And so we always offer ethical labor. That's just what we do. We have tons of people in LA who are skilled sewers, skilled cutters, and so they're always available for you and your clothing dreams. Another layer is that we have accessibility to tons and tons of fabric options in LA. There's people who import, there's people who convert, and there's people who knit locally. And through our vendor relationships, we offer those types of fabrics to you. And so there are organic cottons, there's lyocell, there's different natural fibers, and then there's recycled polyesters that we drum up and have relationships and buying power and use to negotiate the prices down before we offer them to you for your dreams, your dream line.
And you know, today we actually just posted a video. You can see it in our Instagram. It was a backstage tour of a dye house. And one of our followers actually asked, like, wait, is this done in Los Angeles? I think that a lot of times people think, oh, Los Angeles, you know, it's one of the homes of fashion, but often they don't think that we have all those resources here.
Yeah, good point. So one big differential between New York and Los Angeles is the ecosystem. And actually it's related to the amount of available space. So everything's really compact in New York, and they do have some amazing things, but if you know like New York Fashion Week, it's mainly about the publicity, it's about PR, it's about getting seen and heard. But in Los Angeles, we're a lot of doers and makers, and so we have local dye houses. Like I said, we have a ton of knitting mills, and because it's a metropolis, it's super spread out, and so basically the price per square foot for rent can be a lot cheaper, a lot less than in New York, because you're not confined to this like island peninsula type situation. And so those are some of the reasons why LA has this like amazing like maker and sewing culture. And besides, we also have accessibility from Mexican immigrants, and we have like Korean culture, and a lot of these people are the people behind the machine. And so with this like beautiful melting pot, we have like a huge amount of workforce.
Mm-hmm. And recently, in another interview that we just recently posted, we were talking about the sustainability and how important it is when you are buying locally, because you're supporting those people. And as you talked about, sometimes when people are looking to outsource the labor, they're thinking, you know what, it's 5 cents less, 5 cents less, and they're trying to outsource it. But really, you know, in the long run, give those people those 5 cents. Give them the money that they need to live a healthy lifestyle. You know?
Yeah, I mean, this is a heavy one, but like I believe that we need to have a consumer change, like a change in the consumer attitude, which is understanding the value of local manufacturing, understanding the value of direct and indirect purchases. Like, not only are you putting your vote on like local manufacturing and those people who are sewing, but then think about where they're spending their money. They're buying lunch at the local food truck or the local restaurants. And so there's these like direct economic effects, and there's these indirect economic effects that have like great impact. And so I think it's hard, because we definitely want consumers to be aware. We definitely want fashion brands to be aware, and that's where the change lies, is within those type of people.
Yeah, that's a great point. Really, really good. And you know, that's constantly what we talk about, is creating locally. Not only do you have the advantage of coming in and actually being able to see the production happening and being able to meet with all the people that's doing it, but again, it's helping to maintain the culture and maintain the economy right here.
Yeah, totally. On a business level, like local manufacturing gives you control, and it gives you visibility. And like, I mean, when we first started, we were working with Peru, and if they just didn't answer emails, we didn't know what was going on, and we had to fly out there. Like, it was just like, drop what we're doing and fly to Peru just to understand the update. Mm-hmm. It's it's risk, and there's like headaches around it, and there's miscommunications, and so one benefit of manufacturing locally is that oversight, and we're going to be there to communicate with you. We offer weekly updates to our production clients. We offer more than weekly updates to all of our development clients as we're working through designing your line, and so it's just an advantage you should think about.
Mm-hmm. And exactly what you were talking about, flying back and forth. I mean, I can't tell you how many designers that we're working with when I talk to them, and one of the interviews with the Universal Dialect, when I was talking with Nick, he specifically said, when they were originally looking for manufacturing, it was going out to Asia and having to travel out there, and they were talking about all this stuff, and wait a minute, there's got to be a better solution. And then they found IndieSource, and that truly is. I mean, why, as a designer, should you accept traveling across the world as a norm? That's not necessarily something that's needed.
It happens all the time. And people are living that life, and they are FedExing overnight, and so there's like the shipping costs and all, the other effects of being so far away that you have to deal with. And so like at IndieSource, we love when you come into our fitting room, you get to hang out with Lana, our pattern maker, and she'll pin you up, and you get to talk about how it fits in person, as well as sometimes we do it virtually, but it's just that experience of getting your hands dirty during the process that I think is a lot of value.
Mm-hmm. Most definitely. And when we're talking about the sustainably and ethically sourced fabrics, is there any particular kind of maybe a resurgence of a type of material that we've seen recently as far as sustainable fabrics go? Well,
I would say a couple of years ago, I think recycled polyester was really popular. There's a lot of PET or recycled bottles. And we still have a few yoga lines that work with that, and I mean that was a trend for a while, and I don't think it's stopping, but it's now it's more common. This year I've done a lot more organic cotton, not only for kids lines where people want to have organic cottons for their baby, but even for different industries, for adults. We just made some French terry, we knitted it locally for a brand called Zoma, and so I believe that people are looking into different dye techniques and options, and so then I always love modal and lyocell and tencel too. Just lensing as a fiber innovator is amazing, and all that. A lot of it comes from eucalyptus trees or just other plant-based starting points. So
yeah,
so that's what I'm seeing right now.
There we go. Yeah. I'm trying to think.
You can talk to her if you want.
Other fabrics that I really find nice to the feel, as you're talking about when it comes to sustainable fabrics. Sometimes when it is naturally sourced, it feels nicer. The way that it is. It's just, and I think that maybe it's also just something where you personally feel okay, this is good for the environment or whatever it might be. That kind of makes it feel that much better. Because you're doing your part.
Yeah, no, I mean, besides the feel goods, there's definitely quality you can tell, and that's the win-win situation, where it's not only the quality, but it's also the effects of how it was made, and what does that impact on the earth, and obviously the fashion industry is a very big impact negatively on the earth, especially with how we're managing dyeing and where we're getting our fibers from, and so this is a big deal, and again, this all ties into global warming and these huge issues that we're all becoming more and more aware of, and so let's make the changes in the industries that are glaring at us, and so we want you to join us on that.
Yeah, it sounds like we might have a question.
Yeah, one of our viewers would like to know from Jesse, are there any eco-friendly fabrics that are similar to Ponte jersey?
Similar to Ponte jersey, so the answer is yes. And so the way Ponte is it's how it's knitted, right? And so then we would want to plug in the different yarns, right? So in this case, we could choose the yarn of your choosing, whether it's organic cotton or some recycled polyesters, et cetera, plant fibers, and then knit that type of construction. So Ponte is just how it's made, now the ingredients you put into it is something we can choose. And again, like if it's not available in the marketplace, our first strategy is to find those things available in the marketplace. Someone already developed it, someone's stocking it, and that like saves a lot of time for our clients. But let's say you can't find it, but that's like a huge difference maker for your brand. We have relationships with knitters who will do it for us and have that accessibility to those yarns, and we can literally build the blends that you want. Like let's say you wanted to add a little bit of stretch to it, totally fine. We can develop the fabric with you.
Another question.
Another viewer would like to understand which local mills here in LA are producing a substantial portion of the portfolio of sustainable fabrics.
Well, there's a lot of them are moving that way. So more and more mills and like even just converters and different like vendors of fabric are including sustainable and like fabrics in their line. And so, like, I think it depends on the situation for the brand on which one I would recommend. But one that what comes to mind is we work with Accutex, and they're a local knitter who does have they normally have some minimums, but because of our relationship, they've actually lowered that minimum, and so you can get more flexibility in what you're knitting within like sustainable fabric. So if that's just one you could check out, but if you were looking for more in stock ones, I'd have to like understand if you're like athletic or if you're more like jerseys or knits or wovens. So that's a conversation you can have, and we welcome you to come in and discuss that with me.
I mean, that's the beauty of IndieSource is, again, you are given a project manager when you're going to development. So if you have questions about what places, what mills, you can find these at, you don't really have to do all this guesswork. You don't have to do all that. Our project managers will help you.
Yeah, that's part of their service. Their service is to go and find and dig and present you options so that you can focus on designing and selling and growing your brand, right? You don't need to become an expert in every supply chain logistic here, and we don't want you to become a pattern maker if that's not your calling. Right. And so hire the team, become the entrepreneur that you were meant to be, and use the delegation and hire the team. And again, it's so much cheaper to hire IndieSource than it is to bring on full-time production directors, quality control people, sample makers, pattern makers, and project managers. So just like grab us when you need us for a particular collection, and then move on to like how you're going to grow your business and focus on that.
Great point. I think we have another question. No, we're good. Okay.
Cool.
Oh, well, thanks so much for the conversation.
Yeah, no, thanks for joining.
Yeah, and again, 12 o'clock Tuesday, we will be live IndieSource office hours. We'll help answer some of your questions. Until next time, stay tuned. Bye, everyone.
Thank you for joining.